And we're good. Hi, Jessica. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. How's your quarantine been going?
I mean, I just kind of feel like this is my life now. And I feel like I've got to a point where I'm trying to make the best of it. And I just feel really grateful that I'm still safe. And I don't know, this is my life now?
Yeah, yeah. So I saw the film last night. I loved it. I think you gave such a natural performance as Ruth. So
Thank
let's
you.
start from the very beginning. How did you get involved? Tell me about reading the script. What drew you to it?
So from the second that I read the script, I was obsessed with it. I was completely in love with Ruth and especially her relationship in the movie with her brother Blaze. There was just so many things that I myself could relate to in this role, and I'd been trying to find a role like this, a lead role, set in a working class environment, because I myself am working class from England, obviously, but it feels very much the same. And I wanted to bring it to life, and I wanted it to be a whole movie where you see the humor and the care as well as the anger and the setbacks. I just wanted to really be in something that represented a whole version of this life. And this movie had that. And then I met Nicole for lunch quite soon after reading it. And, I was greeted by this tiny woman who's very tough. And she told me that the movie was semi-autobiographical and that this was going to be a really challenging film. She was going to work the actors harder than any other experience that we'd had, and she was going to ask us to do things that seemed insane. And we're going to be filming in a town in the middle of nowhere. We're going to be filming on film, so there's maximum 3 takes at any scene. And it was going to be cold, and there was a polar vortex. And I was like, wow, this sounds like a challenge. I think I'm up for it. And I just wanted to get the role.
And what was it like filming in Ohio? Did she show you around some of the places that meant a lot to her?
So we were in Chillicothe and Jackson, Ohio, which is where Nicole actually grew up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, of course, she was just, for her, it was obviously an insanely emotional experience, going back to where she grew up and telling her life story and taking a movie set there and actors there. So, we really benefited. I feel like I benefited so much from how vulnerable this was making her, and she could share all of that with me. And I really loved it there. I'd never been to Ohio before. I'd made a movie in Massachusetts, which was a very working class place as well. So I kind of thought that I knew what I was going to find, but it wasn't. It was so different. The people were so friendly, so excited that we were working there. The scrapyard in the movie is a real working scrapyard. And me and Gus and Austin, who plays Hawk, actually went and worked there for a day. And honestly, I loved it. I finally did a hard day's work in my life. And I really loved it. All the conversations that I had with people in the town were so interesting. They were so open and so excited about the movie. And a lot of the actors in the movie are actually from Chillicothe. Anybody that you don't recognize is a real person from the area.
So what was it like working in the junkyard?
It was cold. The whole experience was cold. So when the polar vortex happened last year and it was -30, that was our first week of filming. So it was challenging, but it just made the experience was completely real and immersive. Honestly, sometimes I didn't really feel like I was acting. I didn't have to. We were completely open to the elements. Everything that we were working with and acting with when we were in the scrapyard was real. The same risks were there that you would experience if you were actually doing that job. And I don't know, there was something that was very grounding about the experience though. And I never really felt like I was unsafe in any way. I think because we were in a real place, it felt much safer than if we were recreating this. I don't know why, it just did, but it really helped me just feel completely in the moment when I was working, which is how you always want to feel anyway. So I was grateful to it.
You mentioned that Nicole said she would push you harder than any director has ever pushed you. So is there a scene that stands out where you're like, at the time you're like, oh my God, this is so hard. But then looking at it, you're like, oh, it turned out so well. I'm so happy with all of this.
I mean, the scrapping scenes were really hard. The scenes, because they were all at night and it was so dark. And they were all handheld and they were real derelict buildings. And we could only be in them for a certain amount of time. And what happened of a lot of those scenes is whatever they had scheduled to be there to film in was usually very different when we got there. So there was a lot of figuring it out as we went along and doing a lot of it by camera. And so I really just had to trust Nicole that what I was doing was right, because I couldn't really see anything. Because of where we were filming and it being so in the middle of nowhere, we didn't always have playback, which is insane. And, you know, any filmmaker will tell you like that's what you're really relying on in a situation. So I really had to trust that what I was doing was coming across on camera. And it was hard. It was really cold. It was usually late at night. And Nicole really was my eyes and ears. And I had to trust what she was saying to me.
You mentioned Gus before. What was it like building that dynamic with him?
I just love him so much. I mean, so basically immediately as soon as we got to Ohio, Nicole was like, okay, we've planned this Airbnb for the week. You're going to think it's really strange, but I just need you to go there. I'd never met Gus before. I'd never been to Chillicothe, Ohio before. And I was in this Airbnb in the middle of nowhere with him on this farm. And, you know, like it could have been intimidating to a lot of people, but I was like, no, this guy's cool. He's from New York. It's going to be great. And our first task as brother and sister in this Airbnb was we found a bedroom entirely jam-packed full of China dolls. So our first task was collecting all of these China dolls and politely putting them in a closet and closing the door on them and just being like, okay, like, we respect you. We don't want to wake any spirits. Please just stay inside of this closet. And I had the best time with him, you know, like, I really did. Whenever I think back to making this movie, I just think about us riding around in his car, getting McDonald's breakfast on day offs, and playing Mario Kart. We bought a Nintendo Switch from Walmart on like day 2, and every single day when we were on set, no matter how hard the day was, we were like, should we just play Mario Kart tonight? Like freezing cold, and he'd be like, yeah, Mario Kart sounds great. And that was like our goal at the end of the day, was to just get back to the hotel room and play Mario Kart.
I love it. Do you have a favorite character that you played?
Oh, right. So yeah, we got like really competitive with it. So the best overall character that we found was Wendy, the girl tortoise or whatever she is. Yeah. She's really good at everything. But if you want to have like a wilder ride, the miniature versions of them, because they go faster, but their steering is kind of crazy. So when somebody else, because we would do tournaments, and honestly, like hair and makeup would come in and do Mario Kart tournaments for those. The makeup artist, Ann Taylor, who was like this icon of Dayton, Ohio, she worked on the movie, and she used to make limoncello in her bathtub. I don't know if that's legal, and I don't want to get into trouble, but yeah, like she made limoncello. And she used to come in, and we would have limoncello and Mario Kart tournament nights, and we would always let her play as Wendy because she was drunk on limoncello.
This movie sounds amazing.
It was the best, yeah.
So also Pamela Adlon and Becky Ann Baker are just the sweetest people, just
the best.
So nice. So what was it like working with them?
Becky was there throughout. She would come in and out and film, and obviously I was just like, oh my god, like, you're an icon. You are like an iconic. And she was like, really, honey? Oh, it's just because I played everybody's mom. And I was like, no way. Like, no, I loved her, and she has that energy in real life as well, you know, like, she's very caring. So like, she's just somebody that has been an actress for such a long time and has so much experience to share, and she has that same kind of like ballsy nature as Linda as well, which I really loved having on set. And then Pam was only there for one day. Pam came in and did all those things, and one day Pam was playing our mum after like an hour of us knowing her, and she just kind of came in with this energy where you're like, who is this woman? Because you hear her before you see her. And I just was in love with her straight away. I love Pam. It's a really special type of actor that can just come in and play that role right off the bat.
Yeah. So was there a really short shooting schedule? It sounds like
I think that we shot this in 25 days. I actually filmed the second series at the end of the fucking world a day after I wrapped this. So, like, it was tight. It was a tight shoot, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Congratulations on the BAFTA.
Oh, thank you so much.
Speaking of that,
Thank you.
So I love that you've been speaking about the sexism and how you feel underestimated. And I think that's so important for people to hear, that it's still there, it's still an issue. But do you feel safer, like not like them versus us, but do you feel like there's a different working environment with like people like Nicole and Carly Stone and Kelly Oxford? Do you feel like you can grow more as an artist?
I mean, I feel safer in general making a movie like this, which is about how, you know, it runs a lot deeper than sexism. You know, in this movie, you also have this class problem. And it is really complicated to be a woman in a competitive industry, in any industry. But especially if you're a working class woman, like that is really difficult to navigate. And, you know, working with female directors, there's just a way that you can be vulnerable with each other that is so open that, of course, naturally, you're never going to be able to achieve in the same way with a male director. That's not to say that there isn't a whole other relationship that you can have with them, which is just as great. It's just that I do find that I work harder for women because there are so many things that when you're exploring your characters together can just remain unsaid because they just get it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And has the quarantine time made you like kind of step back and think, oh, I want to do something totally different with my career now? Like, has it made you rethink certain things in the industry that you like, when you were on the go, you just had no time to think about?
Yeah, I mean, I have really taken this time to, I mean, obviously this time has probably changed like all of our lives because everybody, if it hasn't happened to you, then you know somebody that it's happened to. Like, people have really lost a lot. And it's really made me think about just simplifying my life a lot and not having this need all the time to be like, okay, well, what am I going to do next? Like, what is the next thing that I'm going to achieve? Which I think is present in all of us. It's really normal. And how I think that I do want to put that into my career, of course. Like, I don't want to be as eager to just be busy all the time anymore. You know, like, I've really enjoyed my time just being in my house, having more time to speak to my family and learning how to cook and doing things that like we should have been doing anyway, like having conversations that we should have been having. And of course, I mean, just in general, like whenever this ends, like I don't feel like I want to go back to the way that it was before. I think that a lot of us needed this time to be grateful for things that we didn't have the time to see before.
What have you been watching lately? Have you been like binge watching anything?
Oh my God, it's been like a real mixed bag. Like I watched I May Destroy You and was like simultaneously like so in awe of somebody and like, oh my God, this person is amazing. At the same time, I've been like, this has made me feel so terrible about myself. Like I'll never achieve something like this. So I watched that, which I feel is like so like high end and so classy, as well as I watched Jersey Shore. I rewatched Jersey Shore. I watched Gossip Girl. What is the latest thing? I mean, I went through a Criterion phase. Like, I watched a lot of movies with subtitles. I loved My Life as a Dog. I loved that movie. I really loved that movie. I've tried to balance it out by watching very classy movies that are definitely intelligent with like Jersey Shore and like various other reality TV shows.
I feel that. I feel like a lot of us are watching a lot of reality shows.
I watch them anyway. Like, I don't know if people, I don't know, like, I don't know if we're supposed to admit that, but I watch a lot of reality TV. I really don't mind it. I really enjoy it.
And on that note, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your art. And I can't wait to see what you do next. You have a lot coming up. So
yeah,
thank you.
like somehow, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of your day.
You too, Jessica.
Bye, bye.
Bye.